Smoke still drifted through the air when they found her half buried in rubble, bleeding from the arm, sitting upright like she'd been waiting for them instead of rescued by them. The SEAL team expected screams, panic, someone begging to be pulled out, but she didn't make a sound. She just stared ahead, breathing slow, too calm for someone who should have been terrified. One of the guys joked she must be shock-proof, trying to lighten the mood, but the medic wasn't laughing. The moment he knelt beside her and pushed her sleeve up, his entire expression changed. His hands stopped, his voice dropped low. Guys, you need to come see this." It wasn't fear in his tone, it was something colder, recognition. The team froze instantly, every man turning toward her as the medic pulled out something she'd been hiding beneath her collar. And whatever it wasn't civilian, it wasn't normal. It was the kind of thing that makes a whole squad go silent at the same time. Minutes earlier, they thought she was just another casualty they had to evacuate. She didn't speak, didn't complain, didn't look around like someone confused or traumatized. Instead, she watched the terrain like she knew it better than they did. She refused morphine without hesitation, her eyes scanning distant angles like she was tracking something only she could see. The medic tried to chalk it up to shock. They'd seen weird reactions before, but the closer he looked, the less sense any of it made. Her scars weren't random. They were patterned, intentional, the kind earned in places civilians don't survive. Old burns, surgical marks from field hospitals that don't legally exist, bone shifts from impacts that only come from hard combat. And when he found the small, weathered tag tucked under her shirt, he almost dropped it. Her name wasn't supposed to be on any list, not for evac, not for civilians. It belonged to someone with a wartime past buried so deep most people believed she'd died years before. The medic's breath caught, the team stopped moving. And the woman they thought they were saving finally looked up, silent, steady, like she already knew the truth was coming out. The team first spotted her when a chunk of the collapsed wall shifted and a small cloud of dust puffed upward. They expected debris settling, not a living person. But then a hand, small, scraped, steady, pushed through the rubble like she decided it was finally time to come up for air. The SEALs rushed in, pulling concrete aside, ready for screams or frantic breathing. Instead, she slid out of the debris with a calm so unnatural that it made two of the operators stare. No shaking, no panic. She just blinked a few times like she was annoyed, not injured. When they tried to lay her down, she resisted, quietly but firmly, as if lying back would put her at a disadvantage. She refused morphine with a simple shake of the head and kept scanning the horizon with a precision that didn't belong to a civilian. The SEALs assumed she was in shock. It happens. But this wasn't shock, this was discipline. Every movement she made was controlled, intentional, almost too smooth. She watched the team like she understood their formation better than they did. One operator joked, "Damn, lady, who trained you?" She didn't answer. She just kept observing the terrain like she already knew what was coming next. When the medic finally reached her, he approached casually. At first, another evac, another injury. But the moment he cut through the torn sleeve, his breath caught. Her fresh wound was clean, deep, and neatly compressed like she'd already applied combat-level pressure to it. And beneath that wound, scars that told a grim story. Thin, surgical marks where shrapnel had once been removed. Burn patterns that matched improvised explosives. Old nerve damage from restraints used only in actual war zones. None of this made sense on a civilian. He checked her shoulder and found an old fracture healed unevenly, the kind of break you get from a high-velocity impact fast rope accident, hard landing, halo jump gone bad. She didn't wince, she didn't even look at him. She watched the ridgeline, jaw tight, breathing perfectly controlled. That kind of pain tolerance isn't normal, it's trained. Then he brushed against a chain hidden under her shirt. Instantly, her muscles tightened, not fear, but reflex. The medic gently pulled the chain free and froze. The tag wasn't a name and blood-type dog tag. It was a Black Ops identifier, one he recognized from files far above his pay grade. A tag belonging to an operative officially listed as dead. He swallowed hard. Guys, this woman's past, yeah, it's not civilian. The medic's voice carried across the broken street like a warning bell. The SEAL team stopped instantly, boots still, conversations dead mid-sentence, even the radio chatter suddenly feeling too loud. They gathered around her, each one trying to understand how the woman who'd been sitting silently moments ago could be tied to a unit none of them were supposed to know about. She didn't look up. She didn't defend herself. She simply adjusted her breathing and kept watching the tree line as if their reactions were irrelevant. The commander crouched in front of her, eyes narrowing. "Where'd you get this?" he asked, lifting the tag slightly. She didn't answer. "Instead," she said softly, "you should reposition." The squad exchanged confused looks. "Why?" one asked. She finally lifted her eyes steady, cold, calculating. "You're about to get flanked from the east, 70 meters, maybe less." Nobody moved. For half a second, the air was nothing but tension until a distant branch snapped, followed by the faint metallic click of weapons locking in. The SEALs reacted instantly, diving for cover just seconds before gunfire erupted exactly where she said it would. The whole team froze again, not from fear, but from the realization that she'd read the battlefield faster than any of them. As bullets cracked overhead, she pushed herself upright, using a piece of rubble for balance. The medic tried to stop her, but she brushed his hand away with surprising strength for someone losing blood. Once standing, she positioned herself like she'd done this 1,000 times, knees bent, weight shifted, eyes reading movements the others hadn't spotted yet. She didn't wait for permission. "They've got two shooters on the ridge, one moving right," she called out. The SEAL commander looked through his scope and blinked. She was right. Again, she pointed at a narrow gap between two collapsed buildings. "That's your flank route. Move now or they'll pin you." Her voice wasn't loud, but it was confident enough that the team followed without hesitation. The SEALs moved according to her calls, and suddenly the firefight flipped. She directed them not with ego, but instinct forged from missions no civilian could survive. Every call-out, every correction, every warning was precise. The commander realized she wasn't just trained, she was trained at a level rare even among elite units. And the strangest part, she never once acted like she expected them to trust her. She just did what she knew, and the SEALs followed because she was right every single time. When the final shots faded and the smoke thinned, the team regrouped in a half circle around her. She sat back down, exhausted but composed, pressing cloth against her wound. The commander approached carefully, handing the tag back. "This says you're dead," he said quietly. She gave a tired half smile, not amused, not sad, just resigned. "That's the idea." He knelt beside her, not demanding answers, but offering space. "Who were you?" he asked. She didn't answer directly. Instead, she began giving details about the enemy they'd been tracking, placements, strategies, supply routes, names of commanders. Information so accurate and classified that the SEALs exchanged stunned glances. "How do you know all this?" one whispered. She looked at them, eyes steady and older than her face suggested. "Because I fought them before you ever got here." She paused. "And I thought I was done with that life." Her wartime past wasn't a label, it was a shadow that followed her long after she disappeared from official records. She hadn't escaped the war. She'd just learned how to survive outside it. The SEALs finally understood. She wasn't just someone with experience. She was someone built by battles nobody else walked away from. And even hurt, even silent, she was stronger than all of them knew. When the sun finally dipped behind the broken ridgeline and the fighting died down to a distant rumble, the SEAL team stood gathered around her, not in suspicion, not in confusion, but in something far heavier, respect. She wasn't the lost, unlucky civilian they thought they'd hauled out of the kill zone. She wasn't even just a veteran who'd seen her fair share of bad missions. No, she was one of those ghosts the military whispers about. A woman who'd walked through wars the public never heard of, carrying secrets that changed hands in dark rooms and altered entire operations without ever being recorded. The medic, still shaken from the truth he'd pieced together, handed her back the dog tags he'd found tucked under her shirt. She took them quietly, like she was returning a memory to its proper place, not a piece of metal. Nobody pushed her for answers. Nobody dared. When someone survives the kind of past she did, you don't interrogate, you honor the silence they choose. When the team prepared to move, their commander motioned her forward, not as cargo, not as a burden, but as someone worthy of walking beside them. She hesitated only a heartbeat, then stepped into formation like she'd done it 1,000 times. Even hurt, even silent, she carried herself with the kind of calm that only comes from surviving too many close calls. As they trekked out together, the SEALs realized this wasn't a rescue story anymore. It was the moment they crossed paths with a legend who never asked to be remembered. And long after the mission closed and the reports were filed, they knew one thing would stay with them forever: the day a wounded stranger reminded them that true warriors don't shout their history, they let the battlefield speak for them.